Right.
I thought I'd bring along some of my measurements, so I've got a selection of my MacBooks, and I've got my two quick case cameras, which don't work as far as I know. I've got a Newton, and this isn't working, there's no power supply yet. The board seems good, but I haven't tested it yet. I'll get around to it at some stage, hopefully. It's a Quadra 700, which is a fairly desirable Mac for those that don't know. For those that know, they know. A couple of my cubes, I've got 4 cubes, which makes 64, I suppose. And they're quite cool, and you just the whole lock it in place and turn it over and it works. You can access everything, but they're pretty much not upgradable. And also, I don't know why they made such fancy device. Although this one here is it came with a 450 MHz G4 processor, and you get a 500 MHz one. This one's got a aftermarket upgrade in it, which runs at 1.2 GHz. It doesn't seem any faster than the 450 though. And then I've got two of my iMac G4s at 20 inch, which are a little bit hard to get, and then just a standard 15 inch, which you see on selling on trade for about 40 or 50 bucks nowadays. Yeah, so most of these go, all the G4s go. And I am trying to actually downsize my collection. These are stuff that I'm probably not selling, but if anyone's interested in some old Macs, I've got a few to get here up, so you can come and chat to me. Any questions?
No? No? All right, thank you very much.
Okay, so this is my setup. It's basically, we've got the Amiga 600 at the moment. It's running a Video Amiga. Video Amiga is basically frame capture for it, and I've decided to do a little silly thing, which is we can take a photo with it, basically. Hang on, get us all on the phone. We can if you want.
I don't think we're going to get on somehow.
Switch to wide angle.
Zoom out.
Extreme close-up.
Oh wow, the frame rate, that's excellent.
So we can save this. So this whole thing was actually to capture video frames, and you could do things where you had a colour wheel in front of the video camera, and you could do RGB, and then you could actually composite all that together so you actually got a colour video image out of it. And you could do like stop motion or just short little snippets. But I'm sort of using it to do something a little here. And this is it's an Amiga 600 running still at 7 MHz. It does have a 4 meg upgrade, and it does have VGA out that's been added just to make it slightly more usable in the modern era. And then what we can do is we can strip all the colour out of that, which is because it was, I think, 16 shades of grey, where fax, which is what we're going to do in a minute, is 2 colours. Yep.
So it's taken a while.
Yeah. It's not a quick setup. So this is actually my original VHS-C camera when I was when I sort of turned 20. I wanted a camera, and it was the cheapest thing going on trade at the time, and it still works, but the cassette no longer works, as in it won't even accept tapes. You put them in, it just basically switches off. Because I think that's just absolutely shut down.
The CCD still working as a big prerequisite in those. Most of them go.
Okay. Yeah, unfortunately, because it is just doing fax, it's only 9600 boards, you don't get that massive handshake that you normally get. So if anyone's got another PC with a modem here, then we can actually do, head-to-head or something like that. So this whole thing's running. So I've got just a fax modem back here. The fax modem's hooked up to a Panasonic PABX. Yeah. I wonder if it's going to be squashed. No, that's cool. And then I reached out on the Discord and said, does anyone have a fax machine? And Board goes, yeah, I've got one. And then I looked on Gravely to see if I could find some fax paper. And I found 2 rolls for sale, and I bought those. And then the guy's like, oh, I've got about 6 more rolls, do you want them? And I said, yes.
Very cool.
Nice.
And the PC's there, it's just an old school XP era PC, and it was just there because it had a modem built into it, so I can then do some other shenanigans with it. Yeah, and so the great thing about this is you can, supposedly you can get it to work with pulse dialing, but I haven't got it to work with pulse dialing yet, which is my next sort of step. And I have mucked around with ATAs, which are analog telephone adapters, and then you run them through digital, software PBXs, like free PBX. And so I've played with that, and I have actually had the setup where I've had an ATA on one machine, going to an ATA on another machine, while I was going through a VPS running in Germany. Luckily, you only need about 9600 board for that, so yeah, you can cope with that. But you can't really do it. But I think about what was it? 33, I think, might be the fastest I've got once you're running through a software PBX because it just months the connection. 56k is quite hard to get going.
It's really hard to need proper, ideally not get big something.
Yeah. So, any question?
How many lines is the mini PBX good for?
8, and it's got 3 external. So, ideally, I would have bought an ATA and hooked it up to the external line, but that means I've got to then get an internet connection going from here, and yeah, just a bit more complicated.
What's the original use of a mini PABX?
Offices and stuff like that.
Right, okay.
Maybe 10 people in office topic.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, so you've got your 3 external and your 8 internal lines, and it can be expanded, I think, to 24 lines.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, right, thank you very much.
Great demo.
So I've got like my collection of PCs. One of the things that I wanted to demo this morning is one of the problems that I had with the old computers, you always find a new piece of software. There's always this painful transfer process, whether you're using a compact flash card or whether you're transferring it through a tweener. There's always a process, and I wanted it so that I could go on the internet, download a game file, and then hop on an early XT from the 80s and play it straight off the network share. Not even copying it to the hard drive, not worrying about running out of memory. And all networking solutions I found all had some glitch that meant they couldn't work in a certain way. Like MTCP, you were supposed to transfer it to the hard drive and then reboot the machine. NetWare, full NetWare was too heavy. It would use like 100 kilobytes of RAM on these old machines. That was useless. So I worked out a way to run a NetWare light server on hiding back here, the Core 2 Duo, running an old version of Linux and an old VMware workstation image, and it runs NetWare Lite, and then it uses NFS to connect to the file system of the host, which then shares it on modern Windows networking. So it's a very convoluted way to say basically I can drag a file on a modern network and just run it straight off the share on these. Unfortunately, I can't demo it because I left the power cable for my server at home, which is on its way, but it won't be very apart. So just look at the machines. This is just your typical XT. This one's actually from the training centre for telecom in Hamilton in the late 80s. Yes, it was from about 1986. I was going to bring my original XT to a 10 meg hard drive, but that died yesterday. I haven't had a chance to fix it. This is the Tandy 1000. Really rare to see in New Zealand, particularly because I think the price of home PCs was just too much for the average family. I think everyone was on a Commodore or Amiga or something like that. This one was owned by a church up in the Waikato, and the same guy owned it and bought it off the original owner. We've had this for about 10 years, and this guy just kept this machine in immaculate condition. It's all completely as original. Some of you may remember that in the last show I put along the IBM PCJX, and I kind of explained how IBM ruined it. This is the machine you should have bought. This does everything perfectly. You get the extra colors, you get the 16 colors on the CGA screen, and you get a 3.5-inch disk drive that's actually compatible with other computers that exist in the world. This one's been upgraded, so I've got a 40 megabyte hard drive, which is still the original drive. And the original owner got 2 megabytes of expanded memory in it, and he used it for Bible software, so they can look up prayers and various verses from the Bible platform. And it's all running as original. And I put it in storage, and we pulled it out, been sitting for 5 years. One of my daughter's jobs is she gets like $5 to go and turn on all these old computers, so I don't get a fright when they blow up. This just came straight up like as if it was new. It was absolutely amazing.
Was that also one of the first machines to have like onboard video, onboard sound, onboard everything? Like it's completely integrated with the team.
I'm not sure if it's the first.
Well, it's really
Well, maybe, but this one's the TL2. This has actually got a 286 in it, so this is a later one. I'm not too up to date on the early 10s.
Yeah, they're heavy integrated like all the time.
Yeah, I was just thinking the PC Junior, that would have been 84. I think that was pretty integrated.
Oh, but I'm not sure. Not necessarily.
The other one I wanted to mention, the hard drive on this one's died, so that's not very exciting. It died in transit. But these are PC Direct, which is something I've really been focusing on lately, and particularly as the price of IBM is starting to get ridiculous. To find something else. And PC Direct was a big manufacturer in New Zealand, and when I was a teenager, I don't know if some of you remember the really sexy color catalogs they used to send out. And I used to just get them to send me one of those, and I just sit there drooling over these new multimedia computers that I couldn't afford. And so I started collecting and restoring a lot of PC Direct machines. This also led me, particularly with the old machines, to get the battery damage. They actually set up, I've got a microscope set up now, do like magnet wire and actually repair motherboards that have been destroyed by batteries and try and bring some of them up. The other thing we've been trying to do is get more original PC Direct installs, which has been really hard because they all use Quantum Pro drives, and the Pro drives are just failing. This one's actually running the original Quantum hard drive, and it's the only one I've got that still has that hard drive running. One day it's just not going to turn on. But we have recovered the PC Direct menu software, which was hard to find. I also managed to recover special like QFix diagnostics talk history. So if you come across any PC Direct software or anything like that, I would love to hear from you because we really want to archive it. We've been putting some of the stuff on archive.org to try and preserve it. And I bought a backup 486 just in case. And this one's hard drive's died, so it's probably going to be set up.
And you're running a network as well?
Yes. So this is running Cat5 to the server and Cat5 to this, but everything else is on coax. And if you're running like a vintage PC room, it's something worth considering because you're probably you're not going to have 50 file transfers at once. And this means you just have one cable through the room. Instead of one cable per machine, you end up with a ton, like a mess of Cat5. This coax is just really convenient. It's half duplex and it's only 10 megabit, but for these, it's enough. What I wanted to demo with the network light stuff is even on a cheap network card on that PC, it's just as fast to run software off the network as it is the local hard drive. And that's using coax. So, good idea. Any other questions?
Okay, thank you, Jonathan.
This is my little display. I grew up with PC XT clone running 80 megahertz with Hercules graphics, and I suffered through that for a long time. I did get an ad-lib card, and so I suffered with good music for a while. And finally, my dad upgraded it to a VGA, so I suffered with music and good graphics for a while before we finally in the 90s got a 386SX. So I'm a glutton for punishment, so I've decided to revisit my suffering and build myself a XT again, and that's what I've done. I got all of the original IBM PC, another IBM PC and IBM XT motherboard, and I put it in this AT case, and I've kind of loaded it up, and what I've got in here is the Hercules, because I have to relive that. And I've got also put in the CGA, which I was always jealous and wanted a CGA, so I finally have a CGA card as well. And I've got a Sound Blaster Pro in it. And for good measure, at some point I obtained an MPU IPC card for MIDI and some sound modules for the ultimate in sound, driven by an XT. As you can see, I've got them all connected up at once. I've got the Hercules on this monochrome monitor, CGA here, and then also the CGA is a composite connection over here. And you can see that it's come off the edge here, and DOS actually provides you a way to move it around. So you can say mode
CO40, R, and you can just shift it to the right and you can adjust it to your TV set. So that's something I didn't know until I started messing around with it. And then of course you can switch between the monitors by saying no to mono, and we're on this very nice Hercules card with a very nice long persistent green screen, which is pretty awesome. And then you can switch back just like that. And then of course you can go to 8-column mode, and quite difficult to read on the TV. But I think IBM actually expected people to use their PCs with the TV when they first sold the PCs. So if you bought it for home, they would connect to your TV through the console port. The interesting thing about the afew IPC, it's connected to this MT32 here. So you have to use intelligent mode MIDI, where a lot of the processing is happening on the card, in order to be able to drive MIDI from a 4.77 megahertz XT. So I'll just start it off here, and you'll see that it will actually take a little bit of time for it to start running Produce Quest 2. So while it's starting up, I'll talk about this 486, this is another machine I've got here. I've tried to build this one as an ultimate sound machine, where I've got like all the different types of sound standards. Got Sound Blaster. The Sound Blaster Pro is represented by Yamaha YMF719, which is a very nice clone card. And I've got a Sound Blaster AWE64, so that covers the later Sound Blaster standards. And then I've also got a Pico Gus inside, which covers the Gus and the MIDI. And I've got a couple of sound modules here, the SC55 and the Roland CM32L, which is the successor of the MT32. It's got extra sounds, and some games use the sound effects on it. I think that's almost, there we go.
Right. That's amazing.
Yeah.
My XU doesn't sound like that. So was the delay sending the MIDI to the, how it took a while to load? Was that because it was sending the MIDI to the external device?
It had a bit of that. I suppose just really slow, loading up I've got a compact flash card, it's just loading up from that. It's a 4.77 megahertz XT, so it's in CGA. And it's just really slow, but it's quite funny being really slow with the good music. Anyway. Right. So this one, I've got it running Doom at the moment, and it's sending the sound through this SC55, which is what Doom was originally composed for. So if I turn the sound up. So the interesting thing is, it's the Pico Gus MIDI that's playing through it, and sending the MIDI through to that, and then daisy chain, these are daisy chained together, so they're getting the same messages at the same time. So I can switch between, to this one, but it's not composed for it, so it sounds slightly wrong. So they're both playing. Yeah. Now go back to the.
Never sort of sound like that on my
Is that because the CM32 doesn't completely meet the GS standard?
This is the general MIDI, general GM and GS. So that GS is the Roland proprietary standard, which is a superset of GM. And the CM32L and MT32 are their own thing. They're compatible with each other, but
They're pre-GM.
yeah, they're pre-GM. And games tend to either work with GM or MT32, but not generally both. The later games, there's a little bit of an in-between state where you can select either on the game, and
and it would try to play the GM score through the MT32, or vice versa. Yeah, with the music results, yes.
I do like the there's a tune in Doom where instead of playing like a long guitar note, it just goes MT32 only sound effect.
In Space Quest, when you start up, because they reprogram the sounds on the MT32, when it starts up, you've got the escape pod door opening. Normally it sounds like a whoosh sound when it opens, but it doesn't program the MT32 correctly. It plays a chord, it goes, it just sounds so wrong. The other thing that I used to do, in my 386 stage when I was a kid, I used to love mod music, that came from the Amiga side of things. I never had an Amiga, but there was a PC program called Mod Play, and you could play these mods. And I used to sit around playing these mods, and it was. I had an ad-lib card at the time, so I couldn't actually play digital effects, and it was frustrating. I'm playing mods through the PC speaker. So what I did as a teenager, I built this, which is the parallel stereo deck that you could plug into the parallel port of the PC, and then I could play. I could use ModPlay to play my mods at better fidelity than the PC speaker. I don't know if this worked. These wires are broken off, so I'll have to maybe one day I'll rejuvenate it. I'm also, before PCs, I was also into Spectrums. This unit is actually my original childhood Spectrum that I have. As a teenager, I created a keyboard at some point into this DK-tronics. And of course, I had multiple problems with the power cords. Eventually, I just soldered it directly onto the board and never had a problem again. And I've got more Spectrum stuff that I've brought, but I can't put it on the table. Quite a very nice 128 table. So I'd say these two are my favourite, because I'm sentimental with that, it's a touch cake. And that's my spec. Yeah.
Any questions? Or? No? All right, thank you very much.
I'm pretty into HP calculators, as you can see. I was just trying to think of how I can generate sound. Calculator, which I can do, but when I thought about coming over, flying over from Nelson basically, I thought, what's going to be compact enough to chuck in a suitcase and bring over, and I thought I'll bring calculators. Well, it was a logistical challenge. I filled up that suitcase with calculators and bits and pieces, and then I thought, what about all these batteries, all these big NiCad batteries I'm flying over, in luggage. And I looked at the New Zealand website, and they mentioned that you should package them individually or take the ends up, things like that. So I did all that, and I scrolled down a little bit and noticed there's a section on the website to say maximum 15 personal devices. I think I can fly that under the radar. But yeah, they're not set out in any chronological order or anything like that. They all pretty much work. So most of the calculators here are programmable, and I actually wrote a little program to demonstrate. So running so the core of my collection is really all about these HP 41s. Mum and Dad went to Singapore, and while they were over there, a friend of the family asked if that he could buy him an HP 41 over there. And while Dad was there, he thought, I'll buy one for myself. And he brought back this here, not this actual one. That actual calculator I found at a recycle centre in a big box of remote controls. That was just like a golden nugget. So that one, that's where that came from. And so I basically, Dad, I was 11 when he brought back this with a manual. It's an award-winning manual. It's very easy to learn the whole thing from one go. Basically, it shoots you into nothing. It's a brilliant manual. So I digested that as a kid. Had absolutely no use for it, but I was interested in maths and bits and pieces, so I'd write little programs and whatnot, and how do we play around with it? It was good. And then later in life, I started collecting them. So we just fell in love with them, really. So I made a little program on this calculator here to print a little welcome message on the printer here. So that's connected through what's called an IL device, HP interface loop, hanging out at the calculator there. And it's looped. I've got this mass storage cassette drive also connected. And I've assigned a key on the calculator just to run that program. And it basically is just a little welcome message there. So it's just a small amount of text. But the listing, the program listing for that, that's the code to print that much text. And basically it's just because when you change between upper and lower case or narrow and wide text, you have to set a flag or clear a flag. And so you do that, you put in your character into the alpha register, you accumulate it into the printer buffer, and then because you want to carry on the line, so the very first word here is welcome. It's an uppercase W. You accumulate the uppercase W into the printer accumulator, and because you want to continue the line, you don't do the printing obviously at that stage because it will print one line at a time. You have to set the flag to put it to lowercase, and then type in your ELCLME into the alpha register, and then accumulate that into the printer, and then print the print buffer. And so you're switching in and out of all these different modes, and then printing the print buffer to get one line, and then you work on the next line. It took like half a day. So I've got two other little programs here as well. So yeah, I use one of these as a daily driver. Have it sitting right next to me. It's absolutely brilliant because I run a business, and if I want to work out profit margins or anything like that, I can just type in the cost price, fit into the sell price, and hit the program button, and it'll print out the margins. I can add freight if I want to, and adjust the margin, effective margin. It's pretty handy for that. I know you can do it all in a spreadsheet, but it's quite handy to have something right beside you. You can just do it, and away you go. So these are about 1980s era. It's flew on the space shuttle, so they use them for backup, pretty much, as far as I know. So these are like your portrait version. They also have like a landscape. That's a financial calculator, so they have financial functions built in. And the older versions, that's also programmable. So the thing about these is they have non-volatile RAM. Basically, turn the machine off, your program's still there when you turn it back on again. The older machines, they had volatile memory. So you could spend 4 hours typing a program and then turn it off and pause it. Or you can use the little built-in card reader, which accepts these little magnet cards. And so you turn it on and you just feed that through the little slot, and it automatically feeds the card through, reads information into the memory of the calculator. So they came with like big packs of pre-done programs here for all sorts of different things, statistics, mainly in music engineering, things like that. And you have blank cards too, so if you write your own programs, you can just feed them into your programs. So, and that's a nice vacuum fluorescent type display. Whereas these are LCD. No alpha characters on these. So with these here, you can give your programs names, you can do all this text, you can have named labels and things like that for your go-tos and your go-stars and things like that. These here, you're using labels that are just like two numbers, like 01 or 02 for your loop labels. That's probably about late 60s. That one there. And so pretty much all of these calculators are in running condition. Some of them don't have the batteries in them. I was a little bit worried about bringing all those batteries over on the plane. They can be a little bit of a challenge to keep going too. You have to resell them. They've got the subsea rechargeable. NICADs, nickel metal hydride. Basically, you had to crack the case open and solder new batteries into them. And so a lot of these are just actual calculators, they don't store any programs. Get more modern type thing, graphical calculator, or Casio, programmable there. And then we've got likes of the 75C, that's a basic programmable computer. Also runs the interface loop so you can hook up mass storage, printing. There's a little TV monitor adapter that I have. Used to work, albeit from time to time, but that's completely failed now. So I could have actually brought a little screen and displayed the output onto a screen. And then you got lots of, that's actually same era, 60s era, is that one, this here, desktop version, with a built-in printer as well. And the card readers on the front there, you just feed your cards through the front, so it's out the back. And then, got a little game and watch if anyone wants to come and have a game. The old school, does have. I do have music. Not MIDI, but that's what we call the Space Invaders calculator. It's a fantastic game, very challenging. Boxing calculator. I remember as a kid, it was my birthday's around Easter. My parents wanted to take us to Caplan's, which is absolutely beautiful. But we lived in Dunedin, and all I wanted for my birthday was a boxing calculator. So I spent my holiday in the Catlins with my head down playing this. Don't worry about Cathedral Caves. So that was that. And yeah, Atari Lynx, if anyone wants to have a game, I've got a bunch of games like that as well. Have a play. Yeah.
Cool. Anyone have any questions? So,
What year is the 75C?
That's late 80s,
Right,
from
okay.
what I understand. Yeah. But if you want to come along and have a play, come and see me if you want to print out a little welcome message, and I've got a list of some of the Twitch channels and YouTube channels that some of us run. And yeah, I can show you how to store programs on the cassette drive. It's pretty cool. It's an intelligent cassette drive, you know, so it's not like this with the Spectrum you have to queue up where you want the program to say, or you have to queue up where you want it to load. The tape drive will actually search and find a free space and put the file there. Or if you ask it to load a program, it'll search the whole tape for the program to load it. So it's an intelligent drive. But yeah, if you want to come in and play, feel free.
cool. Thank you.
Yes, over Christmas I've been working on a pt3 that I've had in mind for a long time. So I built this sort of mini LAN sensor, which I guess represents gaming from about 97 through about 2001, 2000 era. So nice 4x3 LCDs, 20-inch. They're quite worth stashing if you come across specifically the 20-inch 4x3s. The standard 100 meg switch and LAN running, that's actually the same switch I bought when I was a teenager for LANing, because that's what you did at that point in time. LAN lead case, Pentium 3 sort of resto mod, obviously it's a more modern case. That P3 is actually sort of, so it's an ASUS gaming motherboard, but the P3 that's in it is actually a P3 Xeon that you would buy on service, so it's a 1.4 gig 512 cache, so it's much faster than even all the early P4s. And I think the world record for clocking that chip currently is 1.9 gigahertz, so it's people doing some very cool stuff with that. Very fast, good fun. Yeah, just sort of, I guess, absolutely maxed out P3. You can't possibly build a faster Pentium 3. That was the fastest CPU, and it was the Xeon, and you happen to be able to chuck it in a desktop board and do interesting things with it. So really good for overclocking and just anything interesting. So I guess pushing the P3 to the absolute limit of what was possible at the time. And the K6-2. So the K6-2 wasn't that great. Lots of you know that the P2 was sort of a much better CPU in general, and the K6-2 kind of struggled. But I found the K6-2 to be very sort of just interesting. And I came across this machine, it's going to get recycled. Happens to have quite a decent SuperSocket 7 motherboard in it. So the K6-2 ran on a platform called SuperSocket 7. pretty finicky, pretty cut price, pretty cheap, pretty shit. Wasn't all that reliable, has lots of interesting little bugs, via chipsets, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, P2 generally much nicer, but it was cheap, right? So it was cost a lot less money. So over Christmas I recently imported, I can't remember if it was from the States, but a bunch of CPUs that others wanted as well, which is the K62 Plus 570. It's the fastest K62 Plus or K62 in general ever made. It wasn't actually really sold at retail, it was actually a mobile part that was built a little bit later. So again with the Xeon, that doesn't, people generally didn't put them in desktop machines, that would have been very, very expensive at the time. The K62 Plus 570 is not something you would have bought at a retail store, it would have been like in a laptop. But people seem to have some new old stock chips. So it's currently clocked to 622 megahertz, which is running pretty well for a K62. The Plus is a little bit faster than the standard K62, which is nice because the K62 is not that quick. But the interesting thing is if you, it's quite wild, if you delid, so this one's actually for sale because I imported a few while I was doing it. So they have a heat spreader on them. You can actually remove this heat spreader with a bit of razor wire type approach. And if you move a resistor, you can actually go from 128k of on-die cache to 256k of on-die cache. And specifically on the 570s, that batch, almost all of them, the cache upgrade works. The cache is not faulty on the chip. So suddenly, for the time, having 256k of on-die at full speed, at full bus width and all that kind of stuff, and then overclocked, you get really fast. So people have competitions of how much they can overclock that K62, and specifically that P3. They're sort of just like, retro overclocking enthusiasts. I've always been into overclocking for a really long time. So they're good platforms for doing that sort of thing. Some of the bits in these machines have actually been bought from people in this room to cobble them together, so thanks for that, that's good. Both of them, this has a Yamaha PCI sound card in it, Soundblaster Live, which is sort of both era appropriate, the sort of thing that you would have bought at the time. Both of them have video cards that are a bit newer than what should be in there. There's an MX440 in here and a GeForce 4400 in there. Really nice cards, but again, they're slightly newer. But I find with this sort of era of which is using 3D cards in 90s machines in general, it's nice to have a 3D card that's a bit newer than what it should have been, because anybody runs nice. It's nice. It might not be perfectly era appropriate, but it's very convenient and nice. So yeah, it runs. Actually, part of the reason I built the P3 especially is a friend of ours, especially a friend of Nick's. So as part of the Discord, we built this thing called RetroWAN. So we cobbled together a bunch of old microtics and built a layer 2 tunnel across New Zealand using the Quick network and some other bits and pieces. So a bunch of people have microtics deployed at their house. Essentially, they all tunnel back to a central point and build a layer 2 LAN across New Zealand, which means you can just fire up a bandwidth for Quake 3 or Duke Nukem, or it supports IPX, SPX stuff. You could run Apple Talk across it, it doesn't care, because MikroTik has this amazing layer 2 encapsulation of, actually at layer 2. So you're encapsulating whatever you put on the wire, so you don't have to worry about IP or any of that kind of stuff. So it means we can fire up IPX games of Duke Nukem, and they just instantly work, and we can have like 8 to 10 people just jump on and play Battlefield or whatever you want, and it just works perfectly, and it thinks you're on a LAN. And so you can just put that microtik in your retro network area, connect all your retro machines to that specific bin, and it's isolated from the rest of you, because you obviously don't have these things with your modern machines. So that's been heaps of fun, really cool, and so that's what I built the P3 to play some of those games on. So that's been really good. Yeah.
Cool.
Questions?
Any questions?
When we play Quake.
Oh.
But I think Broadband has some Doom running, and we might.
And the network extension cable just turned up.
Yeah, we might have a 4-player Doom or that kind of stuff with a long, LAN. But that's the thing, you can run up a network game of Doom, and it will work across that because it's emulating layer 2. So it's been just really flawless and really cool. It works surprisingly well.
Cool. All right, thank you.